because it's cold, we will warm up. So what I would suggest is, because today we're going to work on stretching and specific stretches for certain things, show you how to do them properly and safely and for bits and pieces. I would always suggest, if you're doing it at home, that you warm up. Okay, always. So trying to do your stretching after you've done your run is better. There's no point stretching before a run, because if you stop to stretch, you're going to cool down. So there's no point. So do your run, then come in and stretch. So I'll explain all that as we go along. The reason I'm filming it is so that I'll put the link in so that you can see it again, because there'll be a lot of information thrown at you. You're going to catch little bits, you'll be able to see it again as we move along. So we'll start out with a basic warm-up. So I like to do this one. If you do one exercise a day, do this one. Okay? If you start moving from one side to the other, you'll feel your ankles, your knees, it'll work every joint in your body. You can use your neck as well if you want to look around, but this also works your internal organs. So you're squeezing your intestines and your colons and your livers. So if you've ever been to a Tai Chi class or a Qigong class, this is what we'd be doing, teaching from here. Up onto the toes. So when you push up onto your toes, obviously you can feel your calf muscle strengthening as you go up, but you're also squeezing the blood and pumping it up through the body. So this is the easiest way to get warm if you're cold. And we're going to go into the feet as well today. So your toes are really important, especially your big toe. Okay, so the more supple your big toe is, the easier it's going to be for movement. Okay, so when we walk, we go heel, little toe, and your big toe is your brake. Okay, so what I want you to do is go to the back of your mat just for a minute, and all I want you to do is just walk slowly to the front of your mat and just feel what's happening in your big toe. Okay, when you're wearing shoes and you're running, and just go back and try it again a couple of times. So most of us walk, but we don't know how we walk or why we walk, because we can just do it. Okay, so the importance of this is when you stop, or what if you want you to do is lean forward a little bit, look what's happening to your big toe. Your big toe is digging into the ground, so it's your brake. So if that big toe doesn't work properly, you won't be able to walk. So it means you won't be able to run. So working your toes and your toe joints is super important. So an exercise like this is so important because it works the toes, it works the muscles underneath, it builds your calf muscle, puts all the energy, if you're working with energy, but it gets the blood pumping around the body and warms it up really, really quickly from here. So from here, so generally what I do is I work all the way up. So we've done our ankles. So depending on your balance, you can hold on to something or you can keep your foot and you can rotate from here. Okay, obviously this gives you a full range of motion. You'll hear lots of clicking and cracking. That's natural. Your knees, so feet together and rotate in one direction and then come back in the opposite direction. And then if you can, you just go up and down. So sometimes you'll hear kind of crunching and clicking depending on what you've done. Feet shoulder width apart and make big circles with the hip. So a lot of you will find that when you come forward that this is a little bit tight because there's a really important muscle that nobody works called the psoas muscle that's underneath here, and rotate back. So we're going to do some stretches on the psoas muscle today. And then side to side. Make sure your feet don't lift, that the feet stay solid. So what we're trying to do really with this is just the upper torso, just bend it down, nice and easy. Good, so bend your knees and then rotate. So when we rotate, just move your hips, not your arms. Your arms will automatically swing, okay? The faster you move your hips, the faster your arms will swing, okay? So it means everything is relaxing. So you'll often see people when they're doing power walking, they're doing this for some reason. Some people say that it helps strengthen the body. It doesn't really. Your natural gait movement is to walk like this. If you want to walk faster, do this. This actually stops you from moving in certain ways from naturally. But for an exercise to work all the joints and to get your internal organs, this is the exercise to work with. Roll the shoulders back. So we're going to do a little bit on the shoulders because we're going to do some shoulder stretches. Most of the best shoulder stretches are just imitating swimming. to be honest. So that's why swimming is one of the best exercises. If you're having problems with your shoulders and you don't have full range of motion, just put your hands in the front of your shoulder blades and just rotate. So your shoulder blade will still get the rotation it needs and then come back. But obviously if you've got good rotation, you can bring the arms all the way back from here. Good. So on the same one, so if we're going to do one side at a time, turn your little finger up, rotate and bring it back. So notice that your whole body turns, your hip, your knee, your ankle. Rotate back the other side. So it's important that that little finger comes up. You're also stretching the chest and the front of the shoulder at the same time. But this is just swimming. It's just swimming strokes. So if you can swim, if you practice your swimming strokes on the ground, outside standing, you'll get a good workout. It changes when we start doing both hands together. So this is when we really have to make sure that our range of motion is good. If you have an injury, you won't be able to do this, because what happens is your body will move to get your arm to where it wants to be. So if you've got a shoulder injury, you won't be able to do this. You'll let your body move. Okay, and then bring it forward. Bring your arms out in front. So just let your fingertips touch gently. So what we want to do is, as soon as your fingertips touch each other, relax your shoulders. Most people's shoulders are up and we don't even realize it. So as soon as you get to here, take a deep breath, relax, relax, and then open. So you're trying to squeeze the shoulder blades together. Bring it back to center. Okay, do that 3 times. Try and keep your awareness on your shoulder blades, because we want them to relax. Good. And one more. And now to make it harder, I want you to engage your core, your tummy. Not super hard, but just enough so that when you open, I want you to keep the shoulders relaxed and the tummy engaged at the same time. Okay, and it's super hard, because the minute you start thinking, are my shoulders okay, you lose the tummy. So generally when we're teaching classes, anytime that we're standing, engage your core, because you want to help build the core muscles and your back muscles. Good, bring from here, inhale the arms up. So when I bring my arms up, and this is what most people do, they try and reach, okay? I just want you to bring your arms up. I keep my arms bent. Now I want you to take a huge breath, deep breath in. Feel your spine stretch, feel the muscle stretch. Exhale it down. Exhale the arms all the way down. So you should feel that you're lengthened. So when we reach for something, we're stretching muscles. Just bring your arm up. Relax the shoulders first. Now breathe in. You'll feel the heels will push in, but you'll also feel that your spine is now stretching. And relax it down. Okay, so this is a traction for your spine without sticking your neck underneath and pulling it. Okay, so this helps to re-lengthen. From here, roll the shoulders back, interlock your fingers, and then just extend the arms. So you're looking to create that space in between. So anyone that sits at a desk or sits down for long periods of time, this is where your shoulders go. Okay, so the important stretch every single day for people that sit or drive is to lie down on the floor and open up the chest and re-lengthen it, because your chest muscle is now shortened. So every time you come up, it's going to do this, and that means that here is going to be lengthened. So you're going to have a complete imbalance between the shoulders and the chest. So if you take one thing away from today, straighten your chest every single day when you get home. And the best way to do it is when you get into bed. Just bring the palms up and just let that stretch from here. Okay, just warm it up, we're nearly done. So we'll get a little bit warmer as we go along. Okay, so I'm going to be throwing a lot of stuff because I'm going to explain why I'm doing the things. So if you understand why you're doing something, the chances of you doing it again will be a lot less. If I just go through a class to do this, yeah, it'd be cool, and you might have stretched something, but you'll have learned nothing. So I want you to kind of be more specific with the stretching. So going back to the feet, because we start off, I'll show you these. So some of you may have fallen arches, or your arches might come in. So if you do have fallen arches, it will mean that this generally flattens, or flat feet we call it, which means that when you walk or you stand or you run, your knee comes inwards, which means your hip is coming inwards. So you get a lot of knee damage. So to strengthen these, push the balls of the feet into the floor and lift your toes. And if you look down at your feet, you can see the arch is now prominent. We're stretching the arch here, and there's another arch here, and bring it back down. So this is really important if you have flat feet. So you might wear orthotics as well. So just keep lifting it. Do that every day. You can do that seated as well. So if we were doing yoga poses and some people's knees will roll in, once we lift the toes, that knee tends to go back into position. Okay, so really important. Then the other one is put the top of your foot on the ground. Okay, most of you will start to feel a stretch, a tightness all the way up here. Just rotate it, push it forward. So anyone that's running, which is everybody here, and especially when you go uphill, these muscles here lift your foot. So who has ever stretched that muscle? Nobody. Okay, and they give awful problems. So do both sides. So what you're doing when you're learning how to stretch is you'll do both sides and go, that one's really tighter than the other one. That's the imbalance. Everybody has one side that's tighter to the other. Okay? The other variation of these is to sit on the floor like this. Okay? Now, some of you will be able to do this, some of you won't. So this is why I like to use lots of props. So this is why I'm showing you these so that you can use them. You can use pillows, you can use bits and pieces. If you find it hard to get your knees down because you've got big thick thighs or you've got a knee problem, you just have to raise your hips up a little bit so that you can bring your feet onto the floor, okay? The only problem with this one is some people get into this position and they cramp. Their feet will cramp, like that's just one of those things. So just do it for maybe a few seconds. The other alternative to those is the soft blocks, which are brilliant to have. Or you could use a pillow, is just to put your toes on the top and sit back, and that will stretch deep in. So once you start, I don't know if you're running already now, but once you start your running regime, you really need to start stretching the fronts here. You really got to get the shins. You'll get shin splints because you'll usually get shin splints changing from one surface to another. And they're very, very painful. So they can help with shin splints, but the muscle on the side that runs up gets really, really tight, okay? To a point where it can actually stop you from running when they get really sore. Okay, so by eliminating that, but just by doing this or standing up and doing it, that will eliminate these. So while we're here on this stage, curl your toes under and just push your bum back towards your heels. Okay, and this is the other side. Some people do this and now they start to cramp in this. So you can feel the tightness of the muscles all the way in down to the toes. Okay, and release. So what I do is I just hold maybe for 4 or 5 seconds or 10, whatever you release. Come back to here. Hold that for maybe 5-10 seconds. Come back up. But you might only get 2 seconds, so it doesn't really matter what you get. You might not be able to come back on your heels. You might get as far as here and go, that's really hard. Doesn't matter, okay? Just come back to here. But you're making sure that the big toe is organized and stretched. So when you pull the toes back, you're stretching all of the muscles in here. I personally, if you get a chance, like if you're sitting down watching telly, if you grab your foot and come along your arch with your thumb and come all the way up into the big toe and just do circles. So most of this stuff can be done watching telly. Okay, so my advice to most people would be, I'm going to teach you lots of stuff here. There's nobody in this room that's going to roll out a mat and do 45 minutes of stretching every day on top of what you already do. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's unrealistic. But what is realistic is to take one exercise in the morning and do one exercise in the evening and start with that. Okay, that makes much more sense and it's much more doable. So your feet are going to be really important when you start running. We really need to start looking after them. And so what you'll find as well is when you push your thumbs, your fingers in, you're going to feel knots in there. You're going to feel like crunchy round bits that you get in your shoulders. They're knots in your feet. And the bigger they get, they're going to hamper the movement of the muscle and maybe hit on some nerves as well. So if you're not squeamish, if you kind of dig in along the arch there, you're going to feel really nasty crunchy bits. And the best way to get rid of them is a tennis ball underneath and just run in and out. But the idea of doing this tonight is that you go, oh, I didn't realize I had crunchy bits in my feet. Like that's really, when you start up in your game and you start up in your running, that's going to be the huge difference to running well and staying healthy. So coming up from, so that's your toe. So that, remember your feet are your foundation. Get your big toe and get all the toe muscles and the foot muscles working from here. Let's make sure what way I had it done. So while we'll stay on the floor for a minute. The Achilles. So the Achilles is a tough one, okay? An easy Achilles stretch is, I'll show you this way. So I'm going to keep my right leg on the floor and I'm going to bring my left foot flat onto the ground like this, okay? And all I'm going to do from here is I'm going to gently lean forward. I don't want the heel to lift. I want to keep the heel flat and lean forward. If you're getting it and you don't really feel anything, it means you've got a good Achilles. You can actually bring the leg in a little bit more closer to you and stretch it, but you should be feeling it sort of at the back and coming just above the ankle. That's where the Achilles tendon kicks in, and then just change sides. So these are all different variations of, there's loads of different ways to stretch each body part. This is just a nice simple way where you can just lean in gently and just stretch the Achilles. And if any of you have had the plantar fasciitis or are getting it, this stretching the calf and the Achilles helps to take the pressure off the heel as well. It's a nasty one. And then bring it back to center and breathe. Okay so far? Okay, you feeling the stretches? Can you, okay? So the most important thing with stretching, with any stretching, is not to force it. Okay, so there's no pain, no gain with stretching. Stretching is baby steps and it's just really, really gentle from here. So the trick to increasing your flexibility is breathing. Okay, so this isn't the best one to do it, but we'll work from here. As we do the other stretches, you'll see it. So if you get back into this position from here, so you feel the stretch. So the idea is once you feel a stretch, and I mean just feel it, you can go, yeah, I can feel that. It's not sore, I can just feel it. What you do from here is take a deep breath in, fill the lungs, and then exhale. And you find that your body moves about 1/2 inch to 1 inch deeper without pushing it. Change legs. Okay, so we're not pushing into the stretch. We're not doing anything. We're just actually breathing. That's all we're doing. So once you find, yep, that's the spot, I can just feel it, you breathe in. Really fill the lungs, open the lungs, and then exhale. And as you exhale, you can feel your body goes deeper into the stretch and bring it back to center. So that way you're not forcing anything and you're stretching organically. The reason why we don't force anything, because if I push forward into a stretch and it's sore and I breathe in, what the brain does then is it goes, there's a problem here. There's little tendons called Golgi tendons, and the brain just switches the brake on and it won't let you go any further. So you end up actually reaching in and tearing the soft tissue from here. So you can't do it. So the brain won't let you. So what the idea of breathing is, you've got to get into a position, breathe, so the brain goes, okay, everything's fine, it relaxes, there's no problem, there's no pain. It allows you to go into the stretch. So breathing is how you stretch and increase your flexibility, not forcing into it from here. So from here, I talked earlier a little bit about the psoas muscle. Some of you might have heard of it, some of you probably haven't. So your psoas muscle starts either side of your belly button and comes right the way down to about here. Okay, and it covers with your vertebra about 9 joints. But it's deep inside, so it actually attaches to the front of your spine. Every time you walk or move, the psoas muscle is engaged. Okay, you can't move without it. So why it's a problem is for those of you that sit for long periods in a chair, you shorten it. So imagine now that you get up and you're going to go for a 3-hour cycle and you're going to be sitting in that position. You're going to be bending forward, so your psoas muscle is now shortened. So in terms of triathlon, when you then get off a bike with that shortened, you now have to get up and you're going to start running with this muscle. So this is why this is super important to keep your psoas muscle stretched, because it's the muscle you didn't realize you needed to stretch, but it's so important for especially for triathletes. So an easy way of stretching it is if you lean forward with your left leg, and I'm sure you've all done variations of this anyway, is once you get to here, keep a 45-degree angle. What I want you to do from here is relax your shoulders and let your hips sink naturally. Don't push them down, just breathe out and let them sink. Okay, you'll feel that across here. Some of you will feel it going right up into here. Obviously, the deeper you get, the more of a stretch that you get on, but we're not trying to force it. Come back. Okay, so what I do before I do my teaching class and do deep stretches, what I do is I will come into a position and I will push out. So what we're doing is we're warming up the muscle a couple of times, getting the brain used to the position we're going to be in. So then on the third or the fourth one, we can just gently sink in. And it makes stretching so much easier. We're not putting any trauma onto the muscles. And bring it back. And then change sides. Okay, now you can use chairs as well. You can hold on to these for balance, or your couch, things like that. So all of these things just make stretching easier. They're not cheating or anything like that. They're just helping you to increase your flexibility. So think of it from your shoulders first. Relax your shoulders, relax your hips. They sink and you can feel. And then when you get to the point where you feel comfortable, take a deep breath in and then exhale. And then bring it back to center. So that's kind of the easy way to stretch your psoas, okay? The best way to stretch your psoas is, I'll show you on this because I don't have enough blocks for everyone, is you need to raise your hips up. So basically you need to put whatever you need underneath your hips from here, and you just let the heels touch the ground. And this stretches the psoas on both sides. Okay, to make it deeper, we would just pull one in and then just let that hang from here. And that has a natural stretch against. If you're at home, you could actually lie on your bed or your couch and let your leg hang off and go down to the floor to stretch the psoas here. Okay, but what I want you to do when you go away from here is to think of the psoas muscle. This muscle has to be stretched, because it's always in a shortened position, and we need to elongate it so that your running is gonna get better. So, should you stretch it every day? Technically, yes. But what I will say to you is to break up the stretching routines, and rather than having one big one. Just say, today we're gonna cycle. So if you're gonna cycle today, your psoas is gonna be shortened. Let's do the psoas stretches on the day that you cycle, when you come back. And add it that way. The days that you run, you can do different stretches, rather than having to do a 45 minute stretch after everything that you do. So invariably nobody stretches, and that's when we get injured and our functioning becomes less and less and less. So by breaking it up into little pieces on different days, you can then be more specific with how you stretch. So that's how you would make a stretching routine. You could do a whole yoga class, but do you really need to stand on your head and do stuff like that? Is it sport specific to what you're trying to actually achieve? Probably not. You'll be stretching a lot of stuff that you probably don't have time to do. So try and make your stretching specific to what you need. And then it cuts down a lot of time, and it makes stretching a little bit more enjoyable because you just pick and choose kind of what you need from there. So that's the psoas taken care of. The other major one that I would do every day, if possible, is your piriformis. Okay, so anyone know what piriformis is? Anyone had sciatica before? Okay, that's the muscle. So here you have your glutes, and there's 3 layers to your glutes. Underneath that, there's a piriformis that attaches from your hip right into the sacrum in here. It's really deep. And your sciatic nerve runs down here, and it usually runs directly underneath it. So the piriformis is on top, and when it gets tight, it'll press off the sciatic nerve. So most sciatica is probably because that muscle is tight, unless you have a disc issue, where the disc is pressing off the nerve. Okay? Generally, it's this muscle is tight. So again, if you think of sitting in a chair for 8 hours, you're sitting on your glutes, and you're compressing that nerve all the time. And then you decide, today is the 3-hour cycle. Tomorrow's the 3-hour cycle. So now that piriformis is getting even more on top. So we need to stretch the piriformis. So when we do it on the floor, you've probably seen this done before. We're going to come onto all fours and take your right leg in front of you. And what you're going to do from here is kind of drag or pull and bring that leg across here. Okay? It's meant to be 45 degrees. Most of us will never get there. Okay? Don't worry about that. And then bring your hips forward from here, so you're in that position. So what happens is when you're in this position is your back leg slides back until you can feel the stretch onto the outside of your hip. Okay, it's called pigeon pose in yoga from here. Okay, and the same principle implies find your position, go, I can just feel that. Now take a deep breath in and then exhale. When you get more flexible, you can bring your hands down, you can do bits and pieces, you can lie on bolsters. And then the beauty with this is just keep coming out. So what I want you to do is when you're doing your stretches is that you're in control of the stretch. So when you go in, you can go, yeah, I can feel that. Ooh, come back out. Okay, don't let the stretch control you. You control the stretch, because that means you're not going to pull muscles. Bring it back, and then change legs. Okay, so this is pigeon pose. It's a cool one to do on the floor. I usually do it in a chair. Chair is just much easier. So trying to simplify your stretching is much easier from here. I'll show you in the chair in a second, but if you're doing it from seated from here, put one leg in front of the other. So sitting cross-legged is a difficult one for some people. So just try and sit cross-legged if you can. The idea of these type of poses is most people, when they cross their legs, they put one leg on top of the other, okay? Which means you're crushing bone against joints and it deadens the legs. It's not good. So the idea is, it's called easy pose in yoga, but it's not easy at all. It's just one leg is in front of the other, but they're not actually crossing each other, which for a lot of people can't do. It's difficult. You might be up here, so it doesn't matter. How to stretch the piriformis. The leg that's in front is at 45 degrees. Just reach out in front of you, relax your shoulders and sink. And the leg that's in front, that hip, should be getting stretched. It's just simple. You can go down as far as you want. Remember the breathing, breathe in, exhale out. Then just change legs. I like to alternate legs. Some people will do 3 or 4 on each side and go out. I just like to alternate them. That's just how I do it. You decide what works for you. But it's just finding that position where you go, yeah, I can just feel that. And I mean, just feel it on the hip. Now breathe in. Exhale. And bring it back out. Okay, so that's one that you're going to need to work on. If you could do one every day, I do it every day. Seated in the chair is the easiest one, because you just put your ankle on here. So you roll your shoulders back, and we'll explain that in a minute. And then from here, you're just moving your hips. You're just leaning forward from your hips. I personally think that this is better because it hits the point exactly where you need it. And you can do this when you're watching telly. You don't need to do all that stuff. Like, try and simplify it and make it easy, because you will work it. So if we come back on to seated from here, sit in any position, doesn't really matter. Just sit whatever is comfortable for you. So the best way to do any kind of yoga or stretching or hip mobilization is just to sit on the floor. Okay, the minute you sit on the floor, you've opened up your hips already. Okay, so with sitting in chairs, it doesn't work. So to work your core, all you're gonna do is roll your shoulders back and just stay there. Okay, within about 5 or 6 seconds, your back muscles should be screaming at you. They should be doing this. So that's your trick. The minute you hear your back muscles going, oh, tighten your tummy, because your tummy is now going to work to help support the back muscles. And now release. Okay, so the reason why we arch when we sit upright is because if we're doing this for a long time, the brain is going, what are you doing? Like, why don't we just make this easier? Let's just do this. And that's when we get our arch from here. So when you're doing your exercises and stretching, you're in control. So when we roll our shoulders back, now you can feel, so what's actually happening is our spine is in neutral. There's 3 natural curves in the spine. This is how we're actually meant to be. So if you turn your palms upwards, this is how people say this is how we meditate and we do all these things. The reason why we do this is try and roll your shoulders forward. Biomechanically, it's impossible. Okay, because we've locked the shoulder blades. If we do this, they can do this. Yes, they do meditate and they do mantras and they energy points, and there's a whole lot of, but biomechanically for the real world, for just normal people, we do this because we can't roll our shoulders back. So there's a reason for everything. And then release. So work that, and then you'll find that when you come down, you'll go, why am I out of breath? That doesn't make any sense. It's because your muscles are working, which means your heart is now sending oxygen into those muscles for them to work. So even by this, you're actually working your muscles from this, but we're working our core. So every time you're seated or even standing, roll your shoulders back, because now your spine is in neutral. So stay there. Actually, if you stand up now, I'll show you this standing. So the most important, for me, the most important posture in yoga is called mountain pose. Okay, so if you stand with your feet shoulder width apart, so what shoulder width apart means is if I'm walking and I stop, that's your natural shoulder width apart, okay? Most people will be doing this, so the feet will turn out here. What I want you to do is, some of you are on your mats, look at your feet. Don't let your feet turn out or turn inwards. Keep them parallel to each other, okay? Because every time your foot goes out, it means your hip is turning. Your knees are soft. And what I mean by that is that you're not locked, that there's a natural, so they're slightly unlocked. Engage your core a little bit. Roll your shoulders back and bring your palms forward. Okay, so in this position, you're fully realigned. Your whole spine is coming back into alignment. It's in 3 natural curves. You can't roll forward. Your feet are working. They're nice and firm because all your body weight's going through here. Because your knees are locked, your muscles are strengthening. If I lock my knees, my hips go back and I end up like this. When I bend my knees, I naturally come into this. So that's how we're supposed to walk as humans, okay? We walk this way. So if you practice this when you get home, even for a few minutes, palms go forward. As soon as that tummy is engaged, your whole spine is in alignment. So this is actually realigning your posture, okay? From being here or whatever way we walk. If we meet someone, we start chatting, the first thing we do is we lean on one leg to the other to get comfortable, because the brain's going, you want to get comfortable. By standing here, all of your spine, if it feels uncomfortable, it means you're doing it right. Because now you're actually realigning the muscles that are shaking and this doesn't feel good. It's because they're weak and they're not used to being in this position. And then relax. Okay, so every yoga pose will come from this position, even if it's warrior 2 or warrior 1, comes from the same core. This is exactly the same as that, only I've just moved my leg. So the whole principle is the same, okay? So the important ones, the piriformis, and your psoas and your toes. So shoulder stretches. Okay, so bring your arm across here. So everyone does this one. 9 times out of 10, you feel absolutely nothing. You'll get it for the first time, and then you'll realize there's really nothing here. The big one that people tend to get wrong when we do this one is they move their hips. So you want to keep your hips straight, or do this against the wall so that it's only this arm that's pulling across from here, okay? Bring it down. Again, this is a very basic one. It's only if your shoulders are really, really tight. From here, bring your hands behind. Roll your shoulders back. So because I'm standing and my shoulders are back, just engage your tummy slightly. So start working the core and then pull your elbows behind. So we're stretching the front of the chest, stretching the front here. And you're trying to kind of squeeze the shoulder blades together. Bring it back. Change the hands that was on top. Just change them over. Relax, pull back. And you'll start to feel in here. Okay, so hands forward, bring your palms down. So generally this one I use as my warm-up, so I forgot to do it. Take your thumbs and rotate them behind, so you can feel it in here. Bring them back, rotate them forward. So especially as you get older, mainly in women, you'll get frozen shoulder. And it's usually that this capsule here folds over itself. So these exercises help to keep that capsule moving and working. If we want to bring a back bend into this, and so this will stretch the chest and work the lower back, is just inhale and just look up at the ceiling. So you're bringing your chest to the ceiling. Bring it back from here. If you've got lower back problems or disc problems in the lower back, then don't do that because it will aggravate it. So it's the same with swimming. If you've got lower back problems, don't do breaststroke because your head is, your spine is curved and it will just aggravate it. Bring it back in, bring it forward. So these are more subtle because you're hitting the smaller muscles and tendons in the shoulder blade that you will need when you're swimming and running. So bring them in and bring them out. So from here, take your right hand down, take your left hand up. So one palm's going up, one palm's going down, and then change. So try and keep that length in the spine. So we're going to add in some breath now in a minute. So as it comes in, breathe in and exhale. Breathe in as you push up and down. Exhale. 2 more. Breathe in. Bring it down. Bring it back to center. Bring your arms up. Take your thumbs down as far as they go and extend the arms. Bring it back in. Do the opposite way. Take it out. So you can feel so that all the ligaments here right up to the elbow be tight and extend. Bring it back from here. Open up and move. So another risk of injury is tennis elbow, if anyone's had it or has it. So a lot of that will be coming from your grips. So when you're on bikes for long distances and holding, the tighter the grip, the tendon up here gets really, really tight. And the same with the tendons here. So again, there are things that we don't really stretch. So anything that twists and extends, you want to be stretching them right up into your elbow because you're going to be using them for long periods of time. And if you get tennis elbow, it's nasty. Can you feel that on the tendons? So I know there's a lot in it, but the small little ones that we forget are the ones that actually do the most damage and stop us from doing the stuff that we need to do. So for me, anything that's a twist, I mean, you can do it anyway, but anything that twists your arm to the point where you go, oh, I can really feel that, is good. And again, you can do that watching telly. You can just add that in anywhere, on a bus, just no matter what you're doing, and just rolling it in. And make sure you do both sides from here. Okay, you might feel clicking in the wrists because the bones, like your bones, they're the easiest bones to break anyway, but you'll feel a lot of clicking when you move from those. And then just interlock and push. Interlock and push up. So again, when you push up, relax the shoulders. It's all about relaxing the shoulders because your shoulders are really tight and stiff. Bring the arms down. So here's one. So inhale up, turn at the throat, push up. Exhale and bend the knees. So we're going to do this 3 times with a breath. So inhale. So it's 1 big breath, then we exhale. Okay, and this is hard because most of us shallow breathe. Breathing in, so you can feel your lungs filling. Exhale down, last time, inhale. Exhale, all the way down. Just bring it back to center. So the other reason why we stay in this position is here your lungs can extend. So take a deep breath in. Watch what's happening to your shoulders and your lungs as you inhale. The diaphragm lifts, and then we exhale. So when you're hunched over, so just roll forward with your shoulders and try and take a deep breath in. It can't really be done. So we can't lift, we can't fill the lungs because we're always bent over from here. So that's the position that we're supposed to be in as humans, because we're now walking our back legs, not on all fours. So from here, take your right leg behind, and then turn over your left shoulder. I know it's a bit of a tongue twister. And then change sides. So left leg goes behind, look over the right shoulder. So twists are very important, and I'll do some more kind of lying in a minute, because twists actually work the internal organs, but they actually open up the hip and they move the spine as well. Okay, bring it back to center and rotate. So the importance of all of that stuff is for functioning. So when you go to the toilet and you finish, you need to wipe yourself, it's all about twisting your hips, you know? It's all about these things that keep us, that we need to do, that we take for granted. We don't, because we're too tight and stiff. So when you think about what we're doing here, the word yoga kind of really scares people, and kind of rightly so, because everyone has a stigma as to what it is. If you change the word yoga and replace it with movement, it makes a hell of a lot more sense. Because whether it's yoga, tai chi, it's all the same stuff, just done in a slightly different way. Bring it back to center. So we'll come back down onto the ground. Any questions so far? Okay, again, I know there's loads of information. Some of you have probably picked out one or two exercises. You go, okay, if you can take away the piriformis and the psoas, because I'm not going to go through hamstring stretches and stuff, because you kind of know all of that stuff. The only thing I will say about the quad stretch is, if you're doing it, if we lie on the floor and do it, a lot of people get it wrong, is bring your knees together, and everyone tries to pull their leg up, and then their leg comes away from the other leg and takes off from the stretch. So keep your knees together and just push your hips forward. And that should activate the front of your quads. Okay, so can you feel that more? If you lift your knee up, not so good, hits the outside. So it's there and it's hips forward. And again, if your psoas is tight, it'll kind of hit the psoas a little bit as well. And then just change sides. So that's the only thing really on the quads. Most people get it wrong. And you're better off doing it on the floor than trying, if your balance isn't great, than trying to do it standing, because the chances of you pulling your knee up and doing damage is huge. Perfect. Then onto your backs. So in order to twist, so generally what I like to do is just bring my knees over to one side. So the reason why we have bolsters and blocks is some people, you can't get your knees down. You could put blocks underneath here to help rest them. Take your arms out to the side in a crucifix position. So place your palms facing up. Because what this does is, what you want to do is you want to keep your shoulders flat first. Make sure your shoulders are flat first. And then when you bring your knees over to the side, just let them go wherever they go naturally. Most people try to get the knees over first and lift their hips. You have to keep your hips or your shoulders on the ground. And then just breathe. And you'll find that deep stretch. If you take your head in the opposite direction of your knees, you'll put a full twist on your spine. That's optional depending on how your neck is. But these are great for the body. And then just change sides if you haven't already, just alternate. Again, keep the shoulders flat. Good. And then just breathe. Just take deep breaths. So stretching should be a lot easier than doing a class. It's just lying there and breathing. That's really the essence of it. Good. And it's a really nice one. Now to make that a little bit harder, whatever side you're on, so if you're lying on your left side, whatever leg is up in the air, bring it over. Bring it over to see does it touch the floor. This is why I like to use cushions and blocks, so if it doesn't hit the floor, you can rest your foot on it. Now that will stretch the outer hip as well as the twist. That was a much harder one, so I'd only maybe go in it for maybe 5 or... Sorry? Yeah, that's it. Some people's foot don't touch the floor. And if it doesn't, we can just use blocks and cushions. But that's stretching the hip as well. And then just change sides. And remember, like, you might only be in it for 2 seconds, because that's all you're able for. That's fine. Perfect. It's not as easy as it looks. But that comes with time. So these exercises are perfect for when you get into bed. Like, don't roll out mats. If at some stage you're going to have to get into bed, you might as well just do some of these stretches before you go to sleep. So at least there's an opportunity of stretching without having to worry about how am I going to fit it in. So last one then I will leave you with, and then I'll throw it out to you if there's any stretches you want to do. It's just when you're lying down, just bring your hands over your head and see if you can put the back of your hands on the floor. Okay, if you can't, it means that generally that your chest is tight and it's something that you need to work on. You might need blocks, you might need bits. Some of you are really good, so I can see you can put and just take a deep breath. So really fill the lungs, just feel that rib cage lift so you can feel the front of the body and the back of the body stretch at the same time. And then bring the hands down. So remember, you're in control. You can just bring the hands down whenever you want, then put them back up again. It's stretching is kind of really easy. It's done at your pace, and it's done whatever way you feel works for you. And then sit back up. And so the last one then is another core workout. So we worked a little bit on the core. So what I want you to do now is just sit with your knees bent and your feet in this position, okay? And then we're gonna roll the shoulders back like we did earlier. So just put your hands on your knees, just make it easier. Now you can sit here for 4 or 5 minutes and you'll really start to feel the back. But what I want you to do is I want you to start to lean back until you feel your tummy go like this. Some of you will start to feel your feet lift naturally. So you're kind of balancing on your seat bones, okay? And then bring it back to center. So a forward fold is just to roll the hands forward and just relax the head and the shoulders. Then inhale, roll it back, and then start to move back. So some of you, again, the heels will lift naturally. Bring your arms out in front from here, and if that's okay, you can extend the legs, you can do all kinds of things from here. So what you've just done is a boat pose, which is an intermediate yoga pose. So for anyone that hasn't done yoga before, you've just gone straight into an intermediate yoga pose. So there's not a whole lot of mystique behind it. It's all about just getting the right positioning from here. So the more that you work this, and I find this is easier because if you're doing sit-ups and you've got bad backs and you're trying to do all of this kind of stuff and sit up, this is much easier because it's really all your core and it's your back muscles are working, your tummy muscles are working. You can feel your front of your thighs working. These will naturally lift. And then you can play different positions. Once you've had enough, bring the hands in, relax the head. So release everything, release your tummy, release everything from here. So this is a seated forward fold, it's called, from here. So just do one more. So you can really feel the core works once you get into here. Like this is my favorite way to work the core, from here. And then you can do obviously different variations when you get better. But the key is, like when we're sitting and standing, do not let your shoulders roll forward. Keep your shoulders rolled back all the way, all the time, so that the pressure is on the core and on your back and back. So it's actually, you can feel it working, but it's not easy, but it's easier on the body. It doesn't feel as bad from here. So the one thing I wanted to do at the beginning, and I forgot, I just reminded myself, we just did it seated, is the forward fold. So most people, when they tell you to touch your toes and they say you can't touch your toes because we're not flexible enough. So I'm gonna get you to stand up and do this. Apologize, I should have done this first, but I forgot. So the reason why we can't touch our toes is because our hamstrings are tight. That's it. Everybody's hamstrings are tight. Why? Because we sit on them most of the time, on a chair. So when somebody calls you in, especially doctors, and they want to test your flexibility, and you say, oh, your flexibility is bad because you couldn't touch your toes. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. 90% of people can't touch their toes from just standing there, okay? So what we do first is bend your knees. Lean forward. So you're trying to bring your chest to your knees and see if you can touch the floor. all of a sudden you can touch. You can touch the floor, okay? It's not cheating, it's just taking your hamstrings out because your hamstrings are too tight, okay? So they need to be worked on. So when you're doing that, what you do is you bend your knees first and then practice straightening one leg a little and then straightening the other leg a little. Yes, you can really feel it in the hamstrings, but you're not going to tear them. And that's how you sort of progress from there. And then eventually you'll be able to, it's all down to the hips. So you're not bending over, you're actually pushing your hips back. That gets you down towards the ground. So it's all about understanding the mechanics of the body and nothing to do with you not being able to do stuff, because everyone can do it. But that's it. So what we were doing seated is that standing version of trying to touch our toes through here, because that stretches your spine as well as your hamstrings. So your hamstrings will be super tight all the time. So practice your hamstring stretches and stretch and practice them from here with the knees bent and just gently rotating from one to the other. It's way easier and it's organic. So with a lot of this, it's all baby steps. It's just do a little bit, do some more tomorrow, do some next week. It's literally baby steps. And the key to your flexibility is breathing. Get in the right position, breathe, exhale. Do not force it, and it's not going to happen overnight, it's not going to happen in weeks, it's going to take months of continuously doing it. But the reason why you want to do it is because you want to stay injury-free from your bits and pieces. If you're doing a lot of running, what's going to happen is the body is going to build up tightness around the muscles and around the joints to help with the impact. So there's no way you're going to be super flexible and a really long runner and do loads of running. They're two opposites. So what we're looking for here is to be able to function more and to prevent injury, not be super flexible and do all that stuff. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but most of you will be more designed for the triathlons and running and things like that, rather than the super flexibility. You can't really have both at this stage, so you just kind of pick and choose what you need. Does that make sense? I make it kind of simplified it a little bit, hopefully. Any question, anything that you want to see while I'm here? And if I can do it. I will be putting up some videos on sort of stretching for swimming and stuff like that. So I will be making them, so if you can, I'll probably answer a lot of the questions for you. But the idea is just to take away simple stuff like this and the bolsters that you can get. They're just designed to make your stretching easier. Okay, so if I take anything away, take this away to do, and then take your psoas away where you can lift up your hips and stretch out. Make sure you work those two more than anything, and you should be fine. All good? Happy days. Well done.